Hi guys, it is what are we on? Thursday night, about 6 p.m. here. Just got done with a little workout. Pretty good leg workout, a bunch of belt squats. I did 5 sets of 20 reps on 2.5 minutes rest. Some kettlebell swings, same sort of scenario, like 125-pound kettlebell, 20 reps, 5 sets. And then I did up and down the hill, which let me see if I can show it to you guys. So yeah, there's my, well, I don't know if you guys can see that. Anyway, my driveway hill goes way down in those trees there, and it's around 80 meters. It's actually a pretty steep hill. And so I had a little XPO trainer sled, and basically the way it works is it just has a gearing system. So the harder you push at it, it pushes back with you. So it's quite challenging for me to go up and down a hill. I'm still recovering from that, as you guys might be able to tell. I'm getting ready, waiting on my son to get back from swim practice. So he'll be back in about, I don't know, 40 minutes or so. So I'll chat with you guys in the meantime. And then I'm gonna cook up some dinner. I've got some tri-tip and a New York strip and a little thinly sliced ribeye. For the crew. So we're gonna eat that. I'll probably mostly munch on the tri-tip from Colorado Craft. I saw an interesting, and you guys certainly, I see a few people have joined. So feel free to type in your. Got a little spotty signal. I apologize about that, guys. So I was going to say, feel free to type in any questions you might have. I'll try my best to answer those to the best of my ability. What was I going to say? Yeah, I was looking at some stats just out of curiosity. I was like, how many Americans can do 20 push-ups? And so I can't remember the numbers on that, but what I saw was only about 46% of Americans could do 10 push-ups, of adult age, both men and women, which is quite sad. And fully like 37% can't even do 5 push-ups. So 37% of the men and women out there are unable to do even 5 push-ups, which is, a pretty sad statistic. It's not very hard to do 5 push-ups. You have to be pretty poor, even as a woman, not to be able to do that. So that's sad to see. So hopefully we can turn that around as a country. I know there are other countries where, I just wonder if you like made some level of fitness component for a requirement for citizenship for people immigrating across, and, obviously there'd be exceptions for certain situations, but for general just screening, like, hey, let's have a decent amount of baseline health, and these things aren't enormous. Anyway, I'm kind of a hard ass about that stuff, as you guys may know. What's a good fat intake for a 6'5" man at 190? Bushy dokie. Well, it really depends on your your needs, really. I can't say an exact number. I can tell you I'm 6'5" and right around I think it was 256 earlier today. I'm probably consuming, 250 grams a day, something like that. And I'm reasonably active. And I could be more active, to be honest, but I'm just pretty busy working and stuff. So, but I still train it. I generally train every day that I can. I'm still, like I said, struggling a bit with a neck injury, and it's I just have a lot of arm pain right now. But kettlebell swings and squats and pushing the sled, and I did some rows, kind of not quite seated rows, but standing upright rows with a cable machine. I tried to do some pull-ups, like chin-ups, and that was impossible. It was just too painful, so I couldn't do that. So I guess what's happening is it's compressing my spine. It's compressing the distance on my cervical spine. And so what I feel better is when I stretch it out. And so, when I take pressure off the right side of my spine, it relieves some of that nerve root pressure. And so I'm kind of constantly cocking my head to the side a little bit. It's getting a little tiring. I've been doing that for about, 7 weeks now. All right, what do we got? We got some questions in here. Knockout 50 right now says N3 VKO. Good for you, man. Paul Anderson. I don't know Paul Anderson. I don't know if you know, there's a famous lifter by the name of Paul Anderson he was 1950s, one of the strongest guys. He was like I think he won the 1956 Olympics, if I'm not mistaken, in Olympic lifting back when they had the 3 lifts, the clean and jerk, the snatch, and the strict press. But anyway, from another time, our country seems to celebrate illness, deficiencies. It's a personal choice to be fit. I wish it was mandatory for school kids. It's kind of interesting. And I guess under Obama, they eliminated the presidential fitness award or whatever it was what kids had. I remember when I was doing that when I was a kid, and I always did well in that thing as a kid. But they've gotten rid of that. So these young kids, because some kids felt bad because they weren't doing well, and it's, I mean, I think people should be pressured to be physically fit. I mean, I just think there should be a societal pressure for that, because, if not, and again, there's always exceptions. There's people that have these weird diseases and stuff like that. But for the most part, I mean, the vast majority of people are out of shape more or less by choice. And, what happens is you make that choice very young in life. And then pretty soon it becomes not a choice, because you've got, some horrible illness, and it makes it really, really hard. So, I mean, I really wish we would impress upon our children how critically important physical fitness, and then likewise nutrition is, to not only just your health, but to your overall experience in life. I mean, it's so much better when you feel good, right? I mean, you can have all the money in the world and success, and if you feel like garbage and your health is down, you'd trade that in a minute for someone living much less well off than you are. So anyway, let's see what else we got here. Somebody used no. Okay, new to carnivore, trouble with bowel movements. Do you add fiber? Well, not typically on carnivore. I mean, I would, like I said, that could be a solution for some people. I think, more importantly, one is, are you really constipated? So what do you mean by trouble with bowel movements? I mean, if you just have less bowel movements, like if you're used to going 2-3 times a day and all of a sudden you're not going every day, that doesn't mean you're constipated or there's a problem with your bowels. It could just mean that now you're consuming food that your body's actually utilizing, instead of all this, fiber stuff that you can't use, right? So your body just gets rid of it. So you're not making as much waste. That's one thing. Now, assuming that you are, truly constipated, meaning that you've got a bunch of stool in your colon and you can't get rid of it, and you're straining and stressing and, having all these symptoms, then, I mean, things that could be potentially beneficial are, one, movement, getting out and exercise and moving around, not being sedentary. Number two, staying hydrated, fluid plus electrolytes. Number three, could be increasing fatty content. That's often helpful. Number four, perhaps removing certain things that are within the carnivore space, which are known to potentially lead to slowed bowel movements, which might be things like cheese. Cheese has a lot of calcium in, a lot of calcium can sometimes lead to constipation, as can the, casomorphones that are found in some dairy products. And so, just like anybody that has been on lots of narcotics or opioids, they end up with a lot of constipation. So there's a similar effect with that. So those are things I would look at. One, am I really constipated, or is it just I'm not going to the bathroom every day? Within the definition of normal human bowel frequency, most medical authorities will say a couple times a day to, once or twice a week is normal. So once you start getting, like I had a bowel movement in 2 or 3 weeks, then, then it becomes abnormal. And fiber may or may not be beneficial to that. In fact, there is a study on chronic constipation. It was published, now about 10 years ago. And it showed that, people that removed fiber from their diet completely had the best result with regard to resolving chronic constipation, and that fiber was actually made it worse, because basically it's as my friend Paul Mason would say, it was like adding cars to a traffic jam. Sticking more cars in a traffic jam doesn't make the traffic jam go away. It's usually some sort of neuromuscular issue, a lot of times with constipation, and so adding more bulk to that often is deleterious. Now, having said that, some people, if they've tried those things I've talked about, sometimes adding fiber can be beneficial for a period of time. And sometimes, if your colon is so used to seeing lots of fiber and then you go abruptly to none, that can be a bit of a transition issue. So some people need to taper the fiber. And so like in my book, I talk about how you might want to do that, tapering fiber, tapering carbohydrates for some people. Some people just need to do it that way. It is, typically I think I recommend, I have to remember what I wrote, but I wrote the book a while ago, but I think, something like over a month period of time, just cut everything by 25% until you get down to zero. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. All right, we got a little I think it's called a super chat. It says $5 question. Oh, okay, well, it's just a JM alert. JM alert, appreciate all you do to spread the message, Dr. Baker. Well, JM alert, thank you very much, appreciate that. And, I'll tell you, I interviewed a guy named Shawn Murphy Day, another physician. He's an ER physician down in Tucson, Arizona, and totally carnivore. He's been doing it for, I think, 3 years. He heard me, I don't know, a few years ago, and was suffering with an autoimmune condition. He had this mixed collagen autoimmune disorder, and he was suffering from that. And he was developing anemia, chronic disease. Physician tried everything. Finally, one of his medical students, when he was lecturing his medical students, said, "Hey, have you heard about this all beef diet?" And I guess he got my book, read the book, started the carnivore diet, cleared everything up. Everything went away, and now he's he's converted. He tried to do the fruit and honey thing about, I don't know, 2 years into it. Immediately worse, had a seizure, because he also was suffering from partial complex seizures as well. I forgot to mention that. And immediately set his seizures back off, so now he's back on strict carnivore and just thriving. And, I had a nice chat with him today talking about just what he sees in the ER and the healthcare system, and how, this chronic disease is killing everybody. And, one of the things he talked about, as you guys know, or some of you guys know, Revero, our company, is just soon to start accepting patients. And so he said, if you need a physician in Arizona, because he's like, I'm in the ER making money off of people's illness. I'm making money off of chronic disease, and I don't really want to do that. I'm kind of, I can make a good living with that, but that's, my heart is in the place. So he said, if you need physicians in Arizona, look at me. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because we've got a lot of physicians like that. So it's really exciting to get, a whole group, a powerful group of people, physicians like-minded, that want to really make a difference. And I'm excited about that. So anyway, it's kind of made my day today to hear that. So, all right. Doc, do you see a chiropractor at all? I don't. And this is something that I would be hesitant to go with a chiropractic for. I went to a physical therapist. I went to see a neurosurgeon. Well, it's actually an orthopedic spine surgeon. Same. Either way, 6 doesn't half another. It's still spine surgery. If it came to that, and I've got this herniated disc at the C6, C7 junction, based on where my symptoms are. I've yet to get an MRI, but I'm like 98% certain that's what's going on, as is the surgeon, because it's like, you got classic radiating C7 radiculopathy, and X-ray fortunately shows my neck, my spine looks in pretty good shape. Minimal to no arthritis in there, which is pretty good for a nearly 60-year-old man. But anyway, I'm doing a little physical therapy, and that's helping. We're doing some the biggest thing's helped me is something called a median nerve glide, or nerve flossing. And whenever I start getting real symptomatic, is like my fingers start burning. You get that shooting sharp pain, that kind of searing nerve pain down your arm. And I usually find it by kind of stretching out that median nerve, which part of that median nerve is contributed by the C7 nerve root. It helps. And so what happens is that nerve is being pulled away from the inflamed area. It's like pulling that nerve out of that compressed area for a little while and kind of breaking up adhesions around there. So I do that. So I'm spending all day long doing these median nerve stretches. So it's quite entertaining. Everybody watches me. All right. So, and another question here. This is from Shop BC. My brother has gout and too paranoid to try carnivore because of the purines. What research are there to dig into that? I've done several videos on my YouTube channel about gout. There's a guy named Amy Berger, B-E-R-G-E-R, wrote a nice post about gout. But the short answer is gout, while certainly purine metabolism, which results in elevations in uric acid, can contribute to gout, and uric acid is one of the contributing factors. It is, in my view, and I think there's a lot of literature that supports that, not the only component to gout. Gout usually has to have this other sort of metabolic, sort of compromised metabolic condition, underlying inflammation. There's probably an inflammatory component too. There's temperature components. There's, pH components to that. And so just isolated purine metabolism is not going to do it. Now, if he's overweight, obese, has metabolic syndrome, blah, 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 all the typical things, then yes, carnivore could potentially exacerbate it initially. Now, I don't always see that. In fact, most of the time I don't see that. Sometimes you do. If somebody's already set up for gout and they up their purine intake, then they may develop a gout flare. And you said he has gout, so he undoubtedly has probably some metabolic dysfunction, right? And so as you go carnivore, you lose weight, you get leaner, your glucose control gets better, your inflammatory markers drop. Usually the gout goes away over a period of time. So what might be the compromise is to say, hey, I'm going to do carnivore or transition into carnivore, get healthier, lose excess body fat, lean out, improve my, my overall metabolic insulin resistance, and so on and so forth. And while I do that, if I've got, medication to help with gout, whether it's, a typical anti-inflammatory, which is often prescribed, or colchicine or allopurinol or something like that, and just kind of ride it out for a couple months, and usually that goes away. That's mostly what I see. That's most of the course. Now, the interesting thing is, you can have high uric acid level and not have gout. You can certainly do it. And why do we have uric acid? Anybody ask, does anybody know why we have uric acid? So uric acid is actually an anti-inflammatory. It is a antioxidant rather. And So it's a powerful antioxidant in the body. And there are some studies that suggest like higher uric acid levels are actually correlated with inverse relationship with certain diseases, like things like multiple sclerosis. There's a study out there that shows that people with high uric acid levels almost never have multiple sclerosis. And it's like, well, why is that? One of the thoughts is that as humans can no longer synthesize vitamin C, about the same time the human lineage, however far that goes back, lost the ability to synthesize vitamin C like some other animals can. At the same time, we also lost the uricase enzyme, which breaks down uric acid. So we traded vitamin C for uric acid. And so uric acid is acting as an antioxidant in many cases. And so one of the bigger drivers of gout certainly is fructose and then also alcohol. And so those things tend to be even more potent drivers. And so purines come from DNA, right? So any food that has DNA, whether it's a plant or an animal, it's going to have some level of purine in it. Now, animal food just tends to be by its nature more cellular. You don't have this acellular matrix, whereas plant fiber tends to have more like acellular material, right? And so the more cells you have, the more DNA material you have, the more purines and the other nucleic acid, the pyrimidines, but the purines in particular are what's being metabolized in that way to lead to uric acid elevations. But again, I've seen a lot of people with gout go carnivore. Most of them do fine. Some of them temporarily flare their gout. Usually it's treatable and then it goes away. But yeah, that's kind of the 5-minute lecture on gout there. But thanks for the question. Okay, that's who I was named after. Doc, my grandmother was in love with Paul Anderson. All right, man, cool. That's good to hear. Yeah, have you ever seen pictures of the guy? He used to squat he dug a big pit in his backyard, to do squats out of, and because he didn't have a squat rack or anything like that, so he would like stand in a 4-foot deep trench with weights on either side and squat down into that, I think, or something like that. Anyway, that's pretty neat. T something there says my mental health is definitely better with daily exercise. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, as you guys know, I am a huge proponent of nutrition for mental health, and it clearly makes a difference. And this is the thing. Almost every medical condition out there, I don't care what it is, cancer treatment, diabetes, bipolar disorder. I mean, there's lots of ways to treat that. But if you ignore, like if your doctor wholesale ignores nutrition, you're dealing with someone who is really selling you short. They really are, because it should be a foundational component of any treatment algorithm. I don't care if you ultimately add procedures and drugs and things like that and other therapies, but if you're not addressing the nutrition side, you are at best ensuring a suboptimal outcome, and perhaps even a deleterious outcome in many cases. And so, yeah, that's important. But yeah, daily exercise is great. Nutrition is great. I feel better when I exercise. If I miss exercise for a couple of days, I get kind of like, kind of grouchy, and so I got to exercise, And even like I said, this is I'm a little like annoyed because I can't train as hard as I want to. I mean, I'm still training. I'm still working out pretty hard. I mean, I was pushing that sled up and down hill. It was pretty hard work, but I just I can't jump and sprint and do the impact things that I would normally be doing, which it's just, I like to do that a couple times a week, and I haven't been able to train that just because of the exacerbation of the neck sort of stuff. So, but anyway, I'm doing the best I can while this thing heals. I've got another probably month and a half of giving it conservative treatment before I start considering anything more aggressive. But anyway, Doris Jacobson, thanks for all you do. Thanks, Doris, appreciate it. Chronos 77. Are you worried about the plastic in the sous vide bags and the Teflon in air fryers? Honestly, no, I'm not that worried about it. I mean, I know, again, I think it is first of all, the sous vide bags I use are, I guess BPA free, and there's other phthalates and other things like that potentially. I just don't think the amounts are appreciably significant. Compared to what I'm exposed to the environment anyways. There's some things, like I said, you think about it, this stuff is literally in the air we breathe, right? And, I live in, let me give you a little view here. So I live out, in a pretty nice, not in the city, kind of naturey area. So the air is really pretty good air quality. But I mean, you got many people, they live in the city, they live, most of our population is urban based now. You think about how much of these chemicals we're breathing in, day out. And, does, cooking your steak in a bag for an hour at 120 degrees appreciably add to that? I don't think much. Maybe it does. Maybe I'm wrong, and I could be. But, again, I think it's one of those, there are people that worry about sous videing in a bag that don't exercise. To me, it's like, you're not even I think take care of the big things first. Get good sleep, exercise, don't be sedentary, get some sunlight on you, eat a healthy diet. And if you take care of those things, I mean, you're going to be resistant to probably most of that small stuff. And then if you got time or, the resource to deal with those smaller things, then yeah, I mean, like I said, hey, how hard is it to get a glass bottle instead of drink out of plastic cups? That's not hard, right? That's pretty easy. And I could like if I wanted to, like, there's other ways I cook my steaks. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I could reverse sear in the oven and stuff like that. But for me, it's and I guess it's kind of being lazy. It's a convenience thing for me. But I don't honestly think that's really contributing that much. And as far as the Teflon in the air fryer, I don't really use the air fryer that much at all. And it depends. I don't know if all the air fryers have the the Teflon or the PTFE. Again, is that a major concern? I guess if it's scratched and things like that, I suppose. I guess if it, I guess all things being considered and prices are equal, if you get one versus the other, then it probably makes sense to do one. But it's always funny, we find out these things where it's kind of funny because, and I'm not a fan of glyphosate, mind you, but what did glyphosate replace? Well, it replaced in some cases something called paraquat. Paraquat was like way worse, right? But we dealt with that for years, and so it's kind of one of those things where, is it the lesser of evil? Is it greater of evil? I don't know. All right, I've got a question from M here, a $10 deal here from Mr. Good Guy, 2009. Okay, the benefits of a carnivore diet is not from meat consumption. Rather, they are attributed to the absence of sugar and processed foods. The benefits would likely be similar on a potato-only diet, says Mr. Good Guy. Well, I think that's a good speculation, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. However, what I would say is, obviously, if we remove the ultra-processed garbage, the junk, I call it the human pet food from our diet, most people would do significantly better, right? Now, what I would say is contrast it to the potato diet. I'm aware of like a couple people that have successfully done a potato diet long term. There's that guy in Australia that lost, I don't know, 100 pounds over a year doing the potato diet. But where was his calories coming from? He's living off his own body fat. The potatoes don't have any sort of, there's literally no soluble fats in those things, or very little to none. Right? So where are you getting your fat soluble vitamins? And so because he's stored it in his own body fat, and that's one of the reasons he could do that. Meat, on the other hand, has high quality protein. It has high quality fats. It's full of obviously nutrients and vitamins and minerals. And it also has, and many people don't realize this, but meat actually has a tremendous amount of phytonutrients in there, and most people don't recognize that. In fact, the work of Stefan von Vliet at Duke and now of Utah State University has shown that meat, and particularly, it depends on how it's raised and pastured. Certain grazed animals have a higher concentration than others, but all meat has a high amount of phytonutrients in them, and those phytonutrients are probably more bioavailable coming from the meat than they would be from the plants. Because remember, plants have these anti-nutrients that block absorption. They have things that are bound up in fiber. But what I will say is, this is one of the things where like if vegans would just recognize that it's not meat, it's the processed food, and say, hey, I choose to eat whatever plants only because I that's my ethical choice, and whatever, that's fine. But no, they want to demonize meat, and that, I think that's a problem. Now the exception I take with your question is, I know many people, I mean, into the thousands, that have gone on no processed food. I mean, they're eating like strict clean paleo diets. A lot of them have been on whole food plant-based diets, and they still were sick. And it wasn't until they went carnivore that they resolved those issues. And so what I would concede is, for many people, just elimination of processed food. And that's where I tell people to start. Cut out the sugary crap, cut out the refined carbs, cut out the just all the boxed preservative crap in the garbage, in the grocery store, that's pure garbage. Just cut that out and see what it does. And if your health gets better and you're fine, great, stop. Do that and just eat a diet with, omnivorous diet, and eat whole foods, and I think you're going to be great. That probably works for, I don't know, 75% of the population maybe. But then there's that other percentage of the population where it just doesn't work. And I think those people benefit for being more restrictive. And it may be for a period of time. It may be for 6 months. It may be for a year. Maybe some people may want to do it for indefinitely. But yeah, it's a good observation. I don't disagree with that, with the exception that there are people that this does not work for. And, you know, like I said, it's interesting though. Thanks for the question though. All right, ground flax daily for bowels, says T. Okay. All right, and we got Chronos saying don't add fiber, your body will adapt. All right, so is all about health. Q, what does that say? QQQ? Whatever, something high. I'm not sure what that part means, but high carnivore for 2.5 months today. I ate hot dogs and I became so ill with vertigo and then emptied my stomach. Would food poisoning cause that? I have never experienced that. Thank you. I mean, it could, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you got to hold some bad hot dogs. I've never really liked hot dogs, even ever. I mean, I've just never really enjoyed it. Occasionally I have like some bratwurst or stuff like that, but hot dogs always kind of gross me out for some reason. I mean, a lot of people tolerate them fine. I'm not saying they're necessarily bad. I mean, I just never liked them, but, you know, it depends. I mean, you know, sometimes they have a lot of fillers in there that might have upset you. You know, if you've been carnivore for a while, 2.5 months, maybe the additives or the fillers and crap that are often found in hot dogs just upset your stomach. It could have been it was contaminated in some sense. So yeah, those things could certainly be the case. So maybe, and you probably have this conditioned flavor aversion now where you're just like, I ain't eating hot dogs again. You know, sometimes we get that, you know, eat something and it just makes you puke, and then you're like, I'm done with that stuff. Never happened again. I had that with tequila for many, many, many years. I can remember, this is back when I used to, you know, young kid drinking and stuff like that. I remember when I got my medical college, this company called the MCAT score. It's like the test you take. It was a standardized test to kind of weed you out for medical school. We all took the MCAT, and you know, I had a really, really high score. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm getting into medical school. I remember I was a junior in college and went out partying and just was hammering. I remember I was walking around with beer pitchers. I was a big guy, drinking out of beer pitchers and pounding the tequila, and got so sick. I couldn't smell tequila for like 10 years. I was like, you know, I think about it, I don't, you know, I don't drink like ever like that anymore. It's been a long, long time, probably 20 some years before I've been drinking like that, maybe more, maybe 25 years. But anyway, off the subject. Anthony Madison, 65, 1 week into carnivore. Takeaway so far. Less time in the kitchen, way less time on the toilet. Yep, there you go. You got more time on your hands. All right, Captain Kurt, I hadn't seen a chiropractor ever. I'm 60, was hit sitting in a stoplight by girl rubbernecking, an accident, miraculous. What chiropractors can do, check it out if you haven't. Yeah, I mean, there are, you know, like I said, I know there's a lot of negatively directed to chiropractors, and I think there are some good chiropractors. It's like there's some, you know, good ones and bad ones. And, you know, like I said, the particular, you know, you know, like I said, an acute herniated disc is probably, in my view, not the best time for like a chiropractic adjustment. I mean, I think there's potential for pretty significant problems with that. So, I mean, and, you know, things they might suggest are, you know, inline traction, which I have, you know, some of the other stabilization. I can do all that stuff, you know, without that. So, you know, maybe I'll consider it, but I'm yeah, at the point I'm okay with that. Bushidoki, watch a speech about how America's military-aged man being overweight is a huge threat to national security. Yeah, we don't have any decent candidates for the military. I mean, even when I was in, there was always people like, you know, this is, gosh, when did I get out? I got out in 2011 was when I got, so 12 years ago was the last time I was in the military. We had just a lot of people that were just overweight and just couldn't pass physical fitness tests, and it was kind of you know, I saw them all because they were always coming to me for their profiles. Hey, doc, my knee hurt, I can't run, you know. Yeah, it's sad. It really is sad. I mean, we have, you know, I think it's like 70% of American men 18 years of age can't qualify for the military. Either they've got criminal record, drug history, or they're too damn fat. It's crazy. But I mean, I don't know. I want to go to the military right now with all the crap they're doing right now, that sort of the BS nonsense they're pushing out there. So maybe, you know, I don't know. We're all gonna be, you know, there's gonna be like computer warfare and stuff like that. All right, what else we got here? People that go to work. Doc says, Captain Kurt, thanks. what else we got here? Texas Persimmons says hit the like button, please. Well, thank you, Texas Persimmons. I don't know if the like button does anything for these sort of. I don't know. I don't understand enough of it. I just kind of get on here. I'm gonna stretch out a second, guys. I got to tell you, like I said, just got to stretch that neck out a little bit. I'm getting a little burning pain down my hand, so I just got to stretch it out for a second here. We got Bold Carnivore says, hello, good friend, bold friends. All right. We got Kronos talking again. Okay, let me go to somebody else. Double down. I just want to say thank you. I was suffering from diabetes, and I got fired for refusing the jab. Refusing the jab and adopting the carnivore diet was the two best decisions I ever made in my life. Well, I'm glad that you're feeling better, regardless, and it's kind of interesting. I'm going to be talking at a conference and I've been pretty, what I will say is I've been I believe in medical autonomy and freedom of choice very strongly about that. Patients should have informed consent, whatever you decide about that. I'll be speaking at a conference in Florida in November, and some of the prominent, vaccine skeptics will be there. So it'll be interesting to see. And I'm not, like I said, I'm mostly there for the nutrition component, but I certainly think people should have the choice. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that, as to not get banned for any more, thought crimes, I suppose, if you guys know what I mean. All right, what else we got? We got Stefan Azar. I wish I knew this sooner. An old friend lost his brother to extreme constipation. Oh, goodness, that sounds awful. Double down. Feel like I owe you anything you ever need, I will give you. Well, you don't owe me anything. I mean, just have a good life and share the word with somebody else. That would make me more than happy. So, Dead Funny 13 says, eat more meat. Sounds like a good advice. Chaba M. I'm saying, I don't know if that's how you say it. I know Chaba Toth out of Hungary. Is that a Hungarian name? I know him, and that's how he pronounces it, I believe. If I am relatively healthy, can I add some fruit and honey? Paul Saladino thinks it helps the body retain electrolytes. You can do whatever you want. I mean, it's up to you to see how you do. I will tell you that some people can get away with that and do okay, and some people just can't do it. So you try it, see what happens. Like I said, a lot of people. Because, you like it. Hey, it's sweet. I can eat some sweet. I can eat some sugar. I feel good, and somebody told me it's better than, candy bars. So I would just be, just cautious about it and see how you do. If you have issues with sugar addiction, or if you have diabetic pathophysiology, perhaps, or some of these other mental health issues, you may do better to avoid those things. If you're completely healthy and you're active and athletic and you can tolerate a small amount of it, go for it, but just be objective. See what it does to you. How do you approach people that look at you like the idea of carnivore being the same as a flat earther? Like I said, I think some people are receptive, some people aren't, right? And for me personally, I just like, I walk around at near 60 years of age in shape and hey. And most of the people in my cohort are not. I can tell you that. Most guys in their late 50s are, they look like, a friggin' bag of donuts or something like that. I mean, they're just, so I mean, I have that sort of advantage. And I don't push too hard. If somebody wants to know, if somebody asks me about it, then I'm happy to talk. And obviously I'm quite knowledgeable about this stuff, so I can talk for hours and hours, and I often do, about that. But like I said, I just say, hey, look, I would say, I'd say, well, how's what you're doing working out for you? I think it's that Dr. Phil guy. How'd that work out for you? How is what you're doing now working out for you? And if it's not working out, then what do you got to lose? Eat steaks go eat steaks for a couple months and see how you do. I mean, particularly talking to most men. I mean, there's, obviously, I'm not to say that women wouldn't want to do this, but men particularly, they're like, hey man, just go eat steak and eggs for, every day for 2 meals a day for, 60 days. See how you do. Most guys, okay, I'll try that. And most of them will get a good result. So anyway. Max Barnes, do you worry about black crime that your children are going to have to deal with? No, that's not my major concern. We got another $10 sort of question here again. This is from Stefan Azor. Hopefully I pronounced that right. It was horrible. It was horrible. What was horrible? It was horrible. I was also 100 pounds heavier when I consoled my friend. Thanks to Carnivore, I've lost 100 pounds. I want to thank you for all you've done. Well, Stefan, thank you for thanks for the thanks, but more importantly, I'm glad you lost 100 pounds. And I didn't catch what the horrible part was, but yeah, I mean, that's just inspiring. I mean, it's amazing. The number of people that are out there that have lost 100 pounds on Carnivore or more. And I've seen people, I mean, literally 400 and 500 pounds people have lost on Carnivore, which it's amazing. First of all, it's amazing there are people that have that much weight to lose. I mean, you think about that. How the hell do you have 500 pounds to lose? But there are people that do that. But the fact that people are able to do that, is just amazing and inspiring. And I know I follow a bunch of guys on Twitter right now, or I guess it's X. There's like a whole slew of them. I mean, there must be 50 of these guys, and they're all like 400 pounders, and they're all losing like 60, 70, 80, 100, 120, 150 pounds. It's quite inspiring to see these guys just kind of motivating each other. And so I think it's, and there's a point in life where you got to say, is this what I want to live through? Do I want to live like this anymore? And I think it's, I mean, obviously you don't want to get in that situation in the first place. And, obviously some things have gone wrong for that to happen, but to recover from that and to overcome that and get to, and I don't know where you are in your journey, maybe you have more weight to lose, maybe not, but, get there and then just completely change who you are and what your course of life could be. Because, there's people that, I mean, if you have that extra 100 pounds on or extra 200 pounds, I mean, your quality of life is not going to be good. And your outlook for life is probably a shortened life, probably with a lot of suffering and misery and little ability to really enjoy all of what life can offer. And you go from that to now I can do things. And then you become the inspiration. And I think that's really, really the neat thing to see. So awesome. Good for you, man. All right. What else we got here? All right. What else? We got a couple more questions here. What was he going on about CO2 and what was the answer to all that cow CO2, which is ridiculous? Without CO2, we are all dead. But what was he talking about earlier? I'm not sure if that's regarding to me. The cow CO2. Yeah, I mean, the short answer is, yeah, I mean, cows are not friggin' destroying the planet with their CO2 or their methane. I mean, it's just absolute nonsense. But, there are people that believe that, and some of those people are in position of power and authority and can make policy and are doing that. You've got Cory Booker on the Senate Ag Committee, and very other of these wacko people that, hate animals, are on there. And so at the very least, you have to at least educate them on, even if because some of them believe, climate change, we got to do something right away, but they don't even know the basics about, cow stuff. So they're learning, they're getting their data from some vegan propaganda. So you're like, at the very least, realize that in the United States, per EPA data, cows emit 2.2% of our greenhouse gas, which is a minor amount, right? The worldwide contribution of all agriculture, what they say is 14.5%. That's not true. That's lifestyle emissions compared to direct emissions on transportation. The actual direct emissions for cow, or not cow, all animal agriculture in the world is 5%. Cows are about 3% of worldwide emissions. That is a small percentage of the overall total. And yet we want to kill 200,000 cows in Ireland and cut, 3,000 farms in the Netherlands and, on and on and on. And who knows what we're going to do in the U.S. And so anyway, we've got to at least arm ourselves with at least some of the basic data. All right, we got a $10 question here from Isaac Hillstrom. Hello, my mom got on the carnivore diet and her doctor got her off of it because of the flare-up of diverticulitis. Can you speak on this at all? Sure. So I don't know, enough of, your mom's direct history. I know that, I don't know how long she was on the diet. I don't know what her history of diverticulitis is, if she had pre-existing diverticulitis. And so for you guys who don't know, diverticulitis basically is inflammation of something called diverticulosis. Diverticulosis are little pouches that extend from the colon. They kind of like, it's like a little blowout, like pressure blowouts of the colon. So these little pouches form on the outside of the colon where little food particles can get trapped in there and then become inflamed and become diverticulitis. And so what I suspect may have happened is, maybe she was having maybe some loose stools, maybe some diarrhea during the transition period, and just an overall kind of just, maybe bile acid malabsorption with a generalized inflammatory response, and that was, maybe interpreted as a diverticulitis. That could be the case. In that situation, it might be that, dialing back some of the fat, dialing back some of the rendered fat, smaller, more frequent meals, and rather than large boluses of fat might be a way to approach that. But again, it's hard to, speculate for sure. What I have seen is a number of people with bona fide diverticulitis actually resolve that by going carnivore. I've seen two people with colonic polyps actually resolve those by going carnivore. So I don't, again, without knowing all the circumstances, was it in a transition period? Was your mom consuming a lot of fat, a lot of rendered fat? Those would be the things I would at least consider, and whether, I don't know why she did the carnivore diet, if it was helping her in any other way. And again, what I would tell people is, I think a 3-month trial is a pretty good trial for carnivore. And if you don't get some health benefit from it, that you're looking for, then don't do it. Do something else. I mean, it's not a religion. It's one of those things where I think that, we just have to just use it as a tool. It helps a lot of people for sure. There's no doubt about it. But if it doesn't help you, it doesn't help you. And, like I said, sometimes a lot of people kind of, maybe they're listening to the wrong people. And, I know there's people out there, like munching on sticks of butter. And, again, I'm cautious with that. I mean, I think there's reasons where that could potentially be beneficial, maybe some neurologic conditions, maybe some mental health conditions. But I think for some people, it's, and I don't know, again, I don't know how your mom implemented it or what she was doing or what she was eating. It could have been, maybe it was, well, I don't know. Without details, I'm afraid I don't know. I will say, like, if any of you guys want more of like a more in-depth, I do one-on-one consults still. I think there's a link in my, I think I do. I wonder if I have a YouTube bio. I think I might have a bio on my YouTube. I think I do. And you can click on there. I know it's on my other social media. I know it's on Instagram, and what else am I on? X, and even TikTok. I always kind of laugh when I think about TikTok. But anyway, there's a bio. Oh, you can go to like ShawnBaker.com or Shawn-Baker.com. You can get a consultation, and we can talk for, I usually do a half-hour consult, and we kind of get more details of what might be going on. All right, guys, I got a few more minutes, and I got to go. Looks like the family's getting back. Son's getting back. I see my son pulling up in the driveway, getting back from the swim lesson, so I got to go cook everybody dinner. It was a pleasure chatting with you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday evening, and I will probably pop on here again. I'm trying to do these, once or twice a week or something like this, so I'm trying to get a routine here. So I appreciate you guys subscribing on the channel. We're trying to grow this channel to get more exposure, and appreciate you guys doing it. I've mentioned, watching the stupid ads, and just trying to prevent the shadow man algorithm stuff. And I know, like I said, you can rely on, just rely on greed. I mean, you rely on people's greed. And I know, the YouTube people like making their ad money, and if people are watching, I tell people, just play the ad, put the phone down, or don't even look at it, whatever, if it's some stupid ad. 'Cause a lot of times they put some stupid plant-based crap on my channel, which cracks me up. So you just kind of ignore that. Or they put some stupid drug commercial, which is equally stupid in my view, because most of what I'm talking about is not plant-based and not taking drugs. I got one last question before I got to go here. 07 Black Dog says, losing too much weight, carnivore 5 months, 62 years of age, 5'7", currently 148 pounds. I feel great, but clothes are falling off. I feel great, but what about weight? Well, yeah, I mean, that can be a concern. Can you eat more? That's the first question. And so that is a thing. A lot of people just lose weight. I mean, I know some people are like, wow, I wish I could have that problem, but I think that and I don't know why you're doing carnivore, if there's any issues that would prevent that, but some people will find that, including dairy products is a way to do it. If you tolerate dairy, a lot of people don't. I find like when I want to put on weight, because I can gain weight, lose weight, it doesn't really matter. I'm at a point where I can just dial it in whichever way I want. And I find for me that increasing my meal frequency. So you may like naturally fall into one a day meal of a day, meals a day, but I think you have to intentionally add another meal in there. And you might just, like maybe the meals are slightly smaller, but the overall amount is more. That is, I think, certainly a way to do it. I think that, again, the weight you want to gain is not body fat. You'd rather put on muscle. So I think, obviously, if you got the time, and you're 62, so maybe it's still working. But if you're not, resistance training, get in there and tell your body to hang on to muscle and put on lean mass. But I think you've got to just try upping the overall food volume 20%. See how that does, and kind of go from there. All right, we got one more little question here, then I do have to go here. This is like a Euro. I think it's a Euro question. I think it's a Euro from Belgium. Oh, thanks from Belgium. Well, I was in Belgium, in Brussels, I guess Brussels. It's kind of funny. We went from Lille, France, to Brussels, and we were trying to, we found a hotel in there because something happened. Our plane got in real late we were coming in from Rome. We went from Athens to Rome to Brussels, and we missed our connection in Rome, and they put us on Belgium Air. We got in at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't want to drive back to Lille, and our luggage was delayed, and so we ended up driving around 3 o'clock in the morning in Brussels trying to find a hotel, and no one would answer their phone, and finally we drove to hotel till we got one. We spent the night there. But I've been to Belgium a few times. I've been to, I think you guys call it La Panne or Depon, depending on the French people, I think call it La Panne. I've been on the coast there. I've been to Bruges. Really neat country, but hopefully pretty countryside. Hopefully they don't go crazy with the crazy cow onslaught like they're doing in the Netherlands and things like that. All right, guys, I do have to go. I got to cook some steaks. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thanks you so much, and we will talk to you guys, I'm sure, soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.